Well, thank you very much, President. And let's tell me straight from the beginning, we got it. I know the Parliament is waiting for this moment since a very long time, because the Parliament has asked the Commissioner already in her hearing to have results on the front of the roaming, because the Parliament always agreed with the Commission on this, that we are faced with a completely abnormal situation. Normally, in a market situation, you have a cost and a benefit and a retail price, which are in equilibrium. Whereas in this situation here, you have a minimum cost, a maximum benefit, and an overpriced retail price. Normally, the retail prices are 4 to 5 times higher than the cost. Now, that's not something new. That's something the Parliament has underlined always, and that's something where the Parliament has asked the Commission to go ahead and to do something. Now, in the sense that you always should give the market a chance, I had in summer 2005, in a press conference, voiced a double warning. First warning for the consumers when they go to holidays abroad, that they might have a very bad experience coming back from holidays and finding high bills. And a second warning to the operators, that it is high time that first they bring their prices down, and that second they make the transparency in prices and in information of the consumers they had been promised in a written form already in 2001. Now, I must say that one warning for the consumers, things have not changed. One warning for the operators, things didn't change either, because after this warning they neither became transparent nor did they put the prices down. That brought the Commission in October 2005 to publish a website where we compared the prices. And at that moment I said very clearly that I gave 6 months to the operators to bring the prices down as compared to the prices of 2005. In March 2006, we published our second website, the comparison of the prices of spring 2006 with autumn 2005, and we saw that 19 countries had been stable and 4 countries' prices even had gone up. And at that moment, I announced a Commission proposal for regulation. We launched at that moment also the consultation phases. The first one, the 20th of February, the second one, the 3rd of April. We took in the contributions of all stakeholders, industry in large, mobile industry, consumers, and on basis of what we had got on the table, the Commission put a proposal on the table. This proposal was accepted after a very long and intensive debate today by the College in consensus. So there was no vote in the Commission, but President Barroso has really been fighting for having this result, could, after an hours-long debate, conclude to an agreement in the Commission. Now, what is this agreement? The first one is we have to see that we are in a very atypical situation. because competition works very well in mobiles on national markets. National markets are regulated, are analyzed by national regulators, are regulated by national regulators, and competition is functioning well. Competition does not functioning well in cross-border markets, there where the national regulators can't intervene anymore. And that is also why the national regulators said us very clearly they cannot solve the problem because they have authority only on their national market and not in 2 or 3 markets, which are necessary to be looked at when you go to international roaming. So they asked the Commission to intervene. An exceptional, atypical situation demands exceptional, atypical solutions, and that is why the Commission chose the strongest tool it has at its disposal, which is the regulation tool. So, what are now the elements of the Commission's regulation? First, the transparency. We have put very clearly in the text that in the future the operators are obliged to inform the consumers about the roaming charges. They cannot hide anymore behind non-transparency. They have to be transparent, and this information has to be free of charge. At the same time, because there is also concern about SMS and MMS, we will monitor these fields with the help of the national regulators in order to see if these costs are staying in accordance, if these prices are staying in accordance with the costs or not. The second element was, is the Commission going to intervene in the prices? That would have been a very unusual way of doing things, because normally we leave the market to get prices right. We do not intervene in prices, and prices are also not very objective, because what prices, by what operator, in which country, what package, what non-package. So it would have been extraordinarily complicated and legally unsecure to work on prices. That is why the Commission decided to work on a very secure element, which are the costs, which the mobile termination rates, the costs which are analyzed at any rate by the national regulators, and which the national regulators publish also. Those costs are dynamic costs because they follow the market developments. So the basis of what we have on the table now is to start from the costs is going to be a dynamic factor where the Commission has to come back on basis of the elements given by the national regulators. 25 markets, we take a medium out of this, the medium cost, which will be the basis for our regulation, both in wholesale and in retail. First, in wholesale, the cost for a local roaming cost, that means when a Belgium going to Rome is calling in Rome, the wholesale cost will be fixed at twice the mobile termination rate. When the same Belgium calls from Rome to Brussels, the wholesale cost will be fixed at 3 times the mobile termination rate. That means between the real cost and this ceiling, the prices can be fixed by the market. So it is not the Commission which fixes the prices. The Commission bases itself at the cost medium, termination rate, fixes a plafond, fixes a ceiling, and in between the two, the operators play with their market proposals. The same thing happens at the retail level. There we take the same cost structure plus 30% in order to allow a serious income possibility to the operators. We do not want operators to be out of business, but the operators have a maximum which they can charge for. They can, of course, go well under this maximum and have competition installed. Today, we see that the average is at the level of 25 to 27% on the wholesale level. We permit 30% as a maximum, so there is ample room for competitive business models. The received calls. You know that this is the biggest anomaly today. The price, the medium European price for a received call is between 0.10 and 0.15 euro. The price, the cost of a received call is between 0.10 and 0.15 euro. The price which the consumer has to pay is 0.58 euro. So, in general, the margin for the operators on a received call varies between 300 and 500%. What we propose now is the average, is the basic cost of the received calls plus 30%. When is all this going to be put in practice? The day the regulation is decided by the European Parliament, by the Council, the wholesale part will be put into practice at once. And the received calls also from the first day on. The retail part will be put into practice automatically, without condition, 6 months later, in order to give to the mobile operators the necessary time to adapt, hoping that by this time, actually the regulation won't play anymore, because the regulators will have already adapted their prices under this ceiling. So those, President, are the main elements of this new regulation that the Commission proposed today. I think it is an important day for the common interest of the Europeans, because this regulation takes into consideration the general interest of the European industry. That is very important to say, because we know that the roaming charges are a very heavy load indeed on the industries which are doing cross-border business. So those will be heavily relieved. It's not going to put out of business our mobile operators, because the margin which are offered to them is big enough so that they can still make sound business, and it is going to be a very big relief to the consumers once they feel the concrete benefit of the prices going down.